So, first episode of 2021, and here you have it. This is the raw, unplugged, unfiltered, just talking about how you can help yourself get where you want to go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Real RAD Women. It's 2021 and this is our first episode of 2021 and I could not be happier to be welcoming you to it. I'm Melissa Kramer. I'm your Reinvention Guide and host, and this is the show where we motivate, inspire, and empower women who are going through transitions in their life, primarily the transition of reinvention after divorce. And normally on the show, I have a guest and we talk about their experience. They share their story of typically an amazing reinvention that has stemmed from or been part of a divorce story as well. And most of these women have created completely new and different lives for themselves in the wake of what they were living before. And often they have something that they can also offer to you, the viewer. So I, speak to a lot of coaches, a lot of writers, women who are in the field of helping other people and who are passionate about helping other women like themselves, like me. That's why I'm doing this because my story of reinvention really, I point to my divorce as the catalyst and I'm passionate about helping people get to the other side. So I thought that I would take a few minutes today and do this first episode of the new year a little raw, a little unplugged, no guest, back to basics, just a little bit of a check in to talk about exactly that, getting through things and getting to the other side. Because it's a new year, and often with the new year comes New Year's resolutions. Really taking the time to sit and reflect and think about where you are, where you've been, where you want to go. And I can imagine that if you're watching this video, if you're attracted to the idea of being a real rad woman, of reinventing your life, that you've probably been doing that. And in the state of the world right now, with COVID still looming over us, we've been in a position over the past, I don't even know how many months it's been, since March of 2020, where I feel like more and more of us are actually taking that time to take stock, to do the self reflection that usually comes along with, say, a New Year's resolution. I feel like, and I see that that's been happening for some people kind of on an ongoing basis because this compression that COVID has created has given us the time and created the emotional environment to really sit back and reflect about what's important. What do I really want? And the key thing, what do I need to do or how do I need to be to get there and to be that? And that's what I want to talk to you about today because here's the thing. New Year's resolutions, goals of any kind are really important because, again, that's the reflection, that's your stake in the ground. And after you've taken the time to determine this is something I want to do, this is something that is important to me, and I'm going to set out to do it, you've made a declaration. So, why so often do people not reach those goals? Why do they fall out of the commitment that they've made to their resolutions? Usually, statistics show in the research that I've done, by, if not the middle of January, by early to mid February, if we're using the January 1st New Year's resolution example. And the answer is really simple. And it makes so much sense when you hear it. It's very visceral. It's called habit gravity. And if you can imagine, habit gravity is just that pull. It's that gravitational pull that brings you back to those habits that you're trying to get away from and that you're trying to break. And when you're trying to implement these new routines and create new habits, it can be challenging, even though you may start out really strong and you may not even be feeling the habit gravity. But as you try to implement a new routine and make that the replacement for the old one doesn't go away quietly. And it becomes much easier to fall back into doing things, or at least it seems easier to fall back into doing things the way that we were doing them before. Or in the case of so many resolutions, particularly, regarding health and fitness and getting up and exercising and moving your body, it seems like it's easier to do nothing than to get up and get moving and start a regular exercise regime, for example. And I'm here to tell you, and this may come as a little bit of a shock, it's actually easier to create those positive habits and to keep those going than to maintain those negative habits that are dragging you down. The eating the bad food, the binge watching TV shows that are doing absolutely nothing for your mental state and your overall awareness of the world, the lack of exercise. Those are all things that are actually, they seem easy to do because they require very little effort, but the effort that it takes to hold yourself in that place is really limiting you from feeling better, from having the energy, and from having the more positive attitude that will go out and really make things happen for yourself. So I hope that makes sense to you. And more importantly, I hope that resonates. I'm going to put a link in the comments to today's video. I actually have a little ebook that I created that I provide as a giveaway sometimes when I give my talks. And it's all about, I call it Ratify Your Life. And it's all about some of those really common habits that a lot of people have that are very difficult to break. And they're the habits that are holding you back from really moving on, from being more productive, and from making things happen. So I identify what those habits are, super common habits, and I also provide some alternatives, some solutions, some ways you can try and get out of those habits if they're ones that you recognize you have. So I highly recommend it. It's super short. It's maybe 40 pages total and it's not super wordy. So please, check that out if you're feeling that you need a little more context and a little more understanding about how you can get out of maybe the rut that you're in. Because I get it. It's really easy to slip into something that feels comfortable and it actually is not serving you. Over the holidays, I did a really good job all through Christmas, really maintaining pretty good habits. I didn't go off the rails too much with what I was eating and drinking. However, something happened after Christmas, or maybe even starting on Christmas, where I just kind of decided to treat myself and then to treat myself again and to treat myself again and again and again. And pretty much that one thing became that one time became a regular thing that I was doing repeatedly and then emulating in other ways. And let me give you an example because for me this really has a lot to do with my habits, my routines, and the food that I eat. So I just started sleeping in. One day I decided, I'm just going to sleep in today. I'm just going to, I'm going to, and it'll be great. Well, sometimes when you sleep in, your body needs it and you wake up and you're invigorated, you feel refreshed because you really needed it. Other times you sleep in because maybe you're not sleeping well at night and your patterns are all off and you never feel fully rested and recharged. That's kind of what I was experiencing. And that's not a great way to start your day if you're already feeling like you're dragging, you're already feeling tired, and you also already feel like you've missed some of the time of your day because you've quote unquote overslept or slept more than you normally do. So I was doing this whole messing with my mind thing without even realizing it because I was allowing myself repeatedly over the holidays to sleep in, to either sleep later and later or just keep moving my wake up time back because I wasn't sleeping well. And that has a lot to do with the fact that I wasn't eating well and I wasn't feeling well internally. And that was disrupting my sleep pattern. You're getting up in the middle of the night with a stomach ache, or you're just waking up because maybe you've had too much caffeine, too much alcohol, too much fatty food, and you have heartburn, whatever. It's messing with your whole cycle. And you can change that by changing the things that you do to lead to that. But I wasn't doing that. I was just perpetuating the cycle because I was treating myself with the fatty foods, with the alcohol, with the caffeine. And I just decided that I would try and remedy it. Not really. I just was pushing it aside by sleeping in. I knew I wasn't solving any problem, but I was tired. So, really looking at that, looking at how I was handling my morning routine because then there are some things that I just couldn't do that are part of my really positive habits that I do in my morning to set my day off right, to set my mind off right, to set my body off right, that I just was skipping over because I had to get right into my day because I had slept in. And it's hard to get yourself to switch back into doing things differently, even if those are the things that you have created as a routine, because you're being pulled back by this gravity of these other habits, these lazier habits. And that's really, what I was seeing. And I was doing the same thing with how I was treating myself well, like I said, with how I was eating. I was eating things I don't normally eat. I was baking up a storm. I was watching constant loops of holiday cooking and baking shows. So, I mean, this could really double down as a true confession episode right now. But the fact of the matter is, I was using this background noise. I was filling space and time with something that was, again, sort of a guilty pleasure treat that was sparking my desire to then go and bake. And when you bake, often you're eating what you bake. And in our house, the cooking and the baking and the celebratory special meals and foods, it got out of hand. And it's really easy to let out of hand become the norm. I'm talking about very specific, tangible things right now. We can point to what we eat, and we can point to our exercise or our sleeping patterns and speak very clearly about that. And the root of all of those things is really how overall you're being, how I was being in this whole scenario that I'm explaining, and how my mindset was, and how I was viewing things, and how I was justifying or determining the choices that I would be making in this whole process. And that's a whole nother habit. And that's really what I'm getting at right now to share with you why we are so easily prone to fall out of a new goal, a new commitment, or resolution that we make for ourselves because we're looking at the external. Let's use the food example again because it's just so relatable and easy, in my opinion. So, it's easy to change what you're eating. I'm not eating healthily. I'm not feeling well. I'm gaining weight. I better change what I'm eating. And you can do that, and that makes a difference. And sometimes, if you're just doing that, you can see tremendous results and you feel that you've achieved your goal. You see that you're feeling better, mostly. You see that you've lost weight and you're witnessing my plate is now, not French fries, it's a salad, for a really simplified example. It's very tangible and obvious. But what may not be happening is addressing the internal, the inner side of things. And that's really important because identifying at the core, going back to the whole idea you may have heard before, what's your why? Why are you doing the things you're doing? What is it that you want? Looking at the inner and really focusing on shifting the perspective that you have. Going back to the ebook that I was talking about, that really addresses that as well, because everything in the Ratify Your Life book is very inwardly focused. It talks a lot about how your way that you're approaching things, your mindset, your whole way of being is something that can be holding you back and you may not even realize it. So shifting that can then work in conjunction with the external things, with changing the way you eat, with changing maybe the fact that you're not exercising and you'd like to start exercising, or you're sleeping too much and you really want to create a healthier pattern in that way, whatever it is. So it's the union of that external tangible and the internal, the deep understanding, the why, the purpose, because those two together are really what make you feel successful and make you feel aligned. Because you know that if you do have some sort of slide, that you can reset and go back. It's so simple. Once you slide, if you're trying to create a new habit, do something different in your life, create a new routine, and you slip up. Say you slip up in a diet, and you have one day where you just blow it. Well, do you pick up and just start over, just get right back on track? Or do you use that almost as an excuse to just keep going back in the other direction? Both happen, don't they? And that brings me to the second part of what I want to share with you that's so, so important. Something that all of us, just as humans, tend to need and thrive on when we are trying to create something new, to establish a new habit and make change. We need the support that will help us be accountable and will keep us motivated. And yeah, I say this over and over to the clients that I'm working with because they realize when they're working with someone else, whether it's in a group or even with just one individual, I don't understand why I couldn't. I feel like I have all the answers. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I've never been able to do it before or to do it to this degree or this level before. And there's nothing wrong with you. The the truth of it is that you haven't been able to do it on your own, just again as a human, because you find more success. And when I say you, I'm speaking in the hypothetical to some of these clients of mine who I've had conversations with. You are more successful when you have the support, when you're being truly held accountable, and when you're motivated by others around you. And I felt really compelled to come and share this today with you all because, so here's the example that I want to share with you. I have slipped up in my very healthy habits over the past few weeks and am looking to get back on track. And I want to do it in a fun way. Also, feeling a little bit isolated in these lovely times where so many of us are in quarantine or just not going out. Even if you're not technically quarantined, you're just not out and you're not engaging with people as much as you normally would be. So I took an invitation to join a group that is focusing on clean, healthy eating over the next 30 days. And I typically, when I'm not holiday binging, have a pretty decently healthy diet. I have my indulgences, which I think we all should have and should all enjoy. But for the most part, I do pretty well. I've intermittent fast. I tend to eat between like 10 and 6, and I eat relatively healthy food, but there are the things that I realize that are in my normal nutrition diet that maybe aren't as good for me, that I love, that I eat a lot of, that maybe I shouldn't. So this clean eating is it's a reset. And I will be totally honest with you all. On day 3 of the reset, I had some candy because it was that time of day. It was also that time of month. It was also something that I typically do that time of day, that time of month, where if I'm having that little twinge, I go get some candy. I love candy. That was not in the clean eating plan. I ate them and then I was like, oh, shit. Whoops. Well, I thought about it for a minute. I had this real, tipping point moment where I thought, God, I really just wanted this candy. And what harm is eating the candy going to do? It's, no big deal. And, whatever. I could have more candy. And gosh, a turkey sandwich sounds really good. Well, in this clean eating, you're not supposed to be eating bread for these 30 days. It's really a cleanse, detox, just reset sort of thing. It's not, cut these things out of your life forever. Um, but I'm recognizing that I'm in this group. I am accountable to myself and the commitment that I made to do this. And I'm accountable to the rest of the group. And that really helped me slide to the side of, I had some candy, I screwed up. Oh wow. Start over, don't have any more candy. Put the candy somewhere where I won't readily see it and shovel it in my mouth when I'm feeling that way and get back on track. Don't use that as an excuse. And just knowing that it wasn't just me that I am committed to right now is helpful. It's not always just enough to motivate yourself, even if you believe that you're enough. It sometimes does help you to have that group, or at least that person that is someone that you can share with, someone that you can actually reflect to as well, a mirror. What's really fun about this 30-day clean eating thing is that there is a really active group of people doing this, both men and women, who are very engaged. They're sharing their successes, they're sharing their struggles. We're all in it together. We're cheering each other on, and motivating and cheering someone else on helps you in your own fulfillment of your goal too. So I highly encourage you to go out and seek community in an authentic, aligned way that helps you feel good about where you are right now and where you want to be going. A community that helps support you in the goals that you're setting for yourself. Because you can also find yourself surrounded by a community that is detrimental to your growth and to your goals. And that falls back into the habits that we were talking about. The people can bring you down, just like your habits can bring you down. Being surrounded by certain people is a habit, really, and that gravity can pull you away from where you're trying to go. So there's a lot of, really introspective things that go along with making these changes. A lot of self-reflection, a lot of choices that sometimes need to be made. And again, with support, with community, and with that encouragement and motivation, it helps you likely be more successful in that. So I wish you well in whatever endeavor you have. If you made a New Year's resolution, if you have an ongoing goal, something that you're working on and working toward, and just in general, whatever reinvention means to you, it could be very small, it could be just one thing, or it could be just this huge, complete overhaul. It doesn't have to be that, though. You can reinvent your life by simply shifting your perspective on one thing and just sit back and observe how that opens things up and changes things for you. And then just take it from there. So go out, find that supportive community, find what helps fulfill you and bring you to where you want to go. Because sitting and doing it on your own won't necessarily serve you and bring you forward in the way that you're looking to go. And if you've struggled with this in the past, I really, really suggest that you try looking for that outreach and that community, because if it's something you've never done before, I think that you'll see a big shift. So with that, I'm I'm happily motivated right now because of the interaction I'm seeing in the group that I'm a participant in, and I'm also enjoying seeing how the others in the group are growing and overcoming their obstacles. You're changing your diet, you're going through detox, you're going through withdrawal from sugar, from caffeine, from some of those things, and not always necessarily feeling good. I'm experiencing some of those symptoms and side effects, and I know that while I am not feeling the absolute best physical representation of myself right now, I know that I'm getting to that point and that this is part of the process, and that the other side of that is so phenomenal. It feels so amazing that it's worth it, and that it's something that is very motivating, in addition to just being around the other people. I know what it feels like to feel better than I'm feeling right now, and I know I can get there. So I want you to get there too, in whatever your goal, whatever journey it is that you're on right now. Really observing the things you need. And my gift to you, Happy New Year, is that Ratify Your Life, the link to the book that I have down in the comments. So now I just want to give you a quick sneak peek of what's coming up, because I've got a list of amazing, amazing guests coming up on Real RAD Women that you're not going to want to miss. I have a financial expert who's got an incredible story. I have a publicity guru who is all about helping you understand how you can be seen in the world. And even if you're not someone who thinks you need publicity in your life, maybe you're not an entrepreneur, you don't have your own business, you're thinking, well, what do I need to be seen for? You show up and you are seen every day. And it's not even just that, it is listening to how she built her business and how she rebuilt and reinvented her entire life, moving across the world and starting over from nothing. Such an amazing story. I have a handful of guests that have come from incredible, almost seemingly impossible backgrounds, who have completely reinvented their lives, how they have built amazing lives where they are all creating some kind of service for other people. These women are all helping other women and helping other people in general to create better lives for themselves, clearing the path and getting things out of the way so that they can live a happier, better existence, which is what we all really want, right? It's, well, not to make an assumption, but that's what I want, and that's what I want for everyone else too. So, lots of great guests coming up, powerful stories, amazing opportunities, and some fantastic gifts and just services that are being extended that are completely free of charge, that are things that you can take advantage of, that can help you in your own experience as well. So stay tuned. I will release the latest episode of Real RAD Women, and there'll be more episodes of True Confessions coming up soon too. Don't forget to drop me a line if you have a topic that you want me to talk about, a question, something. Let me know, and I'll create some content around it, because I want this to be for you. I want you to be able to get as much out of these videos as you possibly can. So share away, go out and enjoy yourself, stay rad, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Real RAD Women. Are you in the process of your own reinvention? Visit radnewlife.com to find out more about the resources and support you can receive to help amplify your progress. Find out where you are in your process and exactly what you need to do next to take the steps to move forward. and connect with a community that understands your experience and supports you. Again, visit radnewlife.com. And don't forget to tell your friends about this channel, and don't forget to subscribe.